The eviction notice hit my chest at 8:47 a.m. on a Tuesday. Pink paper with some official-looking seal. 72 hours to vacate. It said. The thing is, I own the house outright. No mortgage, just me, my coffee, and the deed in my filing cabinet. The woman who handed it over? Brenda Cowich, our HOA president, late 50s, helmet of blonde highlights, leopard print cardigan like she was auditioning for a reality show. Two so-called security guards stood on either side of her, as if I was about to bolt for the fence. This neighborhood has standards, she said, loud enough for every neighbor within earshot. And you clearly don't meet them. I didn't argue. Just took another sip of my coffee and smiled, because Brenda had no idea who she was messing with, or how much it was about to cost her. You ever have someone try to steal your house out from under you? What would you do? Because honestly, I've got stories. HOA nightmares have no borders, you know? Let me back up a second. Name's Garrett. I'm not the kind of guy you'd expect to own 7 properties by 45. I did 12 years in the Marines, 2 deployments, more sand in my boots than I care to remember, and a back injury that put me out of commission. But the Corps teaches you to adapt or die. They gave me a pension, a VA loan, and a stubborn streak I'd end up using more than I planned. In 2019, I bought my first place in Pinehurst Meadows, just outside Charlotte, North Carolina. A simple 3-bedroom ranch, nothing fancy, but when I closed, I stood in that empty living room and felt this calm I hadn't felt in years. Like, finally, nobody could take this ground from me. Turns out, I love fixing stuff. Pulling up carpet, patching drywall, weekends at Home Depot, learning from YouTube, and turning that basic house into something I could actually be proud of. That was the start. Then I noticed a pattern. Foreclosures and estate sales in the same neighborhood, selling for pennies on the dollar. I quietly bought 6 more over 4 years, all rentals, all maintained, all through an LLC so nobody could tie them back to me. My tenants? A teacher, a nurse, a retired couple, a young family, good folks. Pinehurst Meadows is your typical suburban spot. 140 homes, middle-class families, retirees, that kind of thing. The HOA was $85 a month for lawn care and a pool nobody used. For years, the board was invisible. Then Brenda rolled in, campaign style, promising to restore neighborhood pride. She won with 19 votes out of 140 homes. Not exactly a mandate, right? I met her that summer, sweat rolling down my back as I fixed my mailbox post. I hear heels clicking up my driveway. Heels in July. She smelled like a flower shop exploded. You must be Garrett, she said, all smiles that didn't touch her eyes. Just wanted to make sure you're aware of our community standards. I shook her hand, kept my tone friendly. Her gaze flicked to my truck. A workhorse Ford F-150. That's not a commercial vehicle, is it? She asked, already writing on her clipboard. Personal use, I said. She made a note and clicked away. Trouble, I thought. The kind you feel in your gut. 2 weeks later, I got my first violation notice. Certified mail, thick envelope, official letterhead, the works. Commercial vehicle parked in residential driveway. They said, $50 a day fine if I didn't move it. I pulled out the HOA rules. They only banned trucks over 1 ton or with company logos. Mine was neither. Sent Brenda photos and a polite email quoting the exact rules. Next morning, her reply was 4 sentences. The board has reviewed your appeal. The violation stands. The HOA retains discretionary authority. 8 days to comply. Discretionary authority. 2 words you never want to hear from an HOA. I showed up at the next board meeting, expecting a group. Instead, it was Brenda alone at a folding table, wielding a wooden gavel. Where's the board? I asked. Vacant, she smiled. Judge, jury, executioner. Presented my case. Photos, documents, the works. Brenda didn't look. Violation stands. Next item. I pointed out my neighbor. After that, the notices kept coming. Grass 2.7 inches, under the 3-inch limit. Garbage cans out too long, paint color not approved. It was the builder beige. A wind chime causing noise. A garden gnome half an inch over height. $50 a pop. By October, the fines hit $850. My mail carrier started giving me the "what did you do" look. Existed, I joked. Eventually, I hired Consuela Verne, an attorney who specialized in HOA battles. She drafted a cease and desist for selective enforcement and harassment. Brenda's response, from a fancy law firm downtown. Allegations meritless. Further correspondence will meet legal action. Next day, another violation. My mailbox was faded. It was weathered cedar. The fines jumped to $2,200. Consuelo warned me, "You're legally right, but HOA litigation is slow and expensive. Sometimes it's easier to comply. But you give a bully what they want, they don't stop, they escalate." I remembered reading about a North Carolina law. Any owner can demand HOA records with 10 days' notice. They have to provide them or face penalties. I filed the request, minutes, finances, everything. Brenda delayed, claiming a pending audit. Translation, hiding something. I posted in the neighborhood Facebook group. Anyone else getting violation notices? The response blew up. Iris, my 70-something neighbor, messaged me. Brenda cited me for weeds. They're native pollinator plants. Had them 5 years. Another family got dinged for a basketball hoop, only used weekends. Brenda's book club. Friends, though, parked RVs for months and got nothing. I ran into Iris at the hardware store. She whispered, "Brenda keeps mentioning a buyer for my house. Her cousin runs a flipping company." That's when it clicked. This was a racket. Harass folks, force sales, steer properties to family and friends, collect kickbacks. That's when I decided, game on. Late November, Brenda hit me with the fake eviction notice. Referenced the wrong statute. Tried to scare me into moving out. I played it cool, called Consuela, who laughed. "This is fraud. Criminal charges if you want." I held off. Wanted to see how far Brenda would go. Posted the fake notice on Facebook, and the comments exploded. More residents came forward with stories, bogus fines, threats, pressure to sell. A guy named Dell, a retired electrician, messaged me. "Check the HOA financials. Something's off." I found their tax filings online, public record. They claimed $89,000 for landscaping, but the contractor confirmed they only got $31,000 a year. The difference, $58,000, went to a shell company owned by Brenda's brother. I gathered my allies, Dell, Iris, the Nguyen family, laid out the records at my kitchen table. Turns out, I owned 6 properties in the neighborhood, giving me 6 votes in any HOA election. We only needed 10% of owners to trigger a recall. I'd already quietly collected 17 signatures. The twist? Brenda herself was renting from me. She'd fallen behind on rent, 3 months overdue, and had been using her rental as the unofficial HOA office, another lease violation. Fast forward to the emergency meeting. Brenda mailed out glossy flyers calling me a commercial eyesore, tried to spin me as the villain. The community split. Some folks bought her story, but the ones she'd bullied rallied together. At the meeting, Brenda moved to raise dues by 40% to cover legal costs. I connected my laptop to the clubhouse TV and ran through the audit. Checks to Brenda's brother's company. Missing funds, 0 contracts. Gasps from the crowd. I called for a recall election. Brenda tried to paint me as an absentee investor, but I stood up and owned it. Yeah, I have rentals. But they're well kept. My tenants are good people, and I actually live here. Then I dropped the bomb. Brenda rents from me and was now being served a real eviction for non-payment and using her rental as the HOA's base of operations. The vote wasn't close. Brenda lost by a landslide. Her chair went flying as she stormed out. Applause, cheers, even a few tears. The community took itself back. Brenda moved out in the night, leaving the place trashed, but I didn't care. The new board cut dues, hired real auditors, enforced violations fairly. We set up scholarships, started community gardens, and for the first time in years, neighbors actually talked to each other. I added a clause to my leases. If the HOA ever harassed my tenants, I'd fight the appeal for them. Look, this whole battle, it was never about trucks or gnomes or even the money. It was about dignity, about standing up when someone tries to bully you in your own home. So if you're out there dealing with your own HOA horror story, remember, document everything, know your rights, and find allies. Bullies back down when you push back together. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop your wildest HOA story in the comments. What's the craziest violation you've ever gotten? What's still making you laugh or rage? If you're in the middle of a fight right now, tell me. Maybe your story's next. And if you felt that justice hit home, share this, hit subscribe, and ring the bell, because trust me, there are even wilder stories to come. Stand your ground. Never let the Karens win. Peace.